What's up, guys? Ben Samulak here. Today we're talking about BBAI, the road to $10. The road to $10. Are we going to get there, guys? I talked about this stock last Friday, and then I did a video. I think it was yesterday or the day before. I can't remember, but it's still moving. Let's look at the chart, guys, and then I'm going to give you some, uh, at least some steps of what I'm doing to try to. Let's see. I'm going to share my screen here. How to mitigate risk because there's risk for everything, okay? This is the stock that's in the AI space. We're looking at BBAI. You can watch my last video or the one before that on Friday. That and Note, those two I'm looking at. I like them because they're under $5. I've mentioned some other ones on there, but these two, now there's risk, of course, with everything. There's less risk. BBAI, as I said, has contracts with the government. They also have contracts with the airports. So these guys already have future revenue coming in. It's just can they, generate a profit? Can they make the company, work and grow? But that's like any company. But recently, there was actually a litigation. I looked into this stock a little more research today. I wanted to just to see, depending on what I do with this, I want to check all the boxes. But there's some risk in this. They had a lawsuit, but it was some accounting error way back, I think in 2022. I think that may be why we had such a big pullback. And then I don't know if it just happened in 25. I just Googled it and I saw there was a lawsuit. I tried to look up why did it fall in 2022 and the lawsuit came up, so I don't know if that's why if it happened there or not, but there's a class action lawsuit, and depending on how it's settled, it's not like this is going to blow the company away. It just, I think that's why they're saying there's pullback, but I don't know about that. Like, there's always a stock pullback, and then there's some news that they say, does the news follow the pullback, or is the pullback, do they find the news for the pullback? It's hard to say, but when you actually look at the charts, you can get a lot of understanding of how things are going to move from there. A lot of times the news just plays out what's already going to happen, which is kind of weird. Some days, if it's going up, they're going to find good news for it. If it's going down, they're going to find the bad news. But you can look all that stuff up. I don't think, to me personally, like, it worries me that much that I think there's, with the short positions that have come in, that's what's causing another big spike, possibly short covering. But that being said, this company's like they have hundreds of millions of dollars of future work. So you can look that up. It's pretty big. This AI company, it's a play in the AI space. I think we get to $10. That's what a lot of people are saying. But what I'm doing is I'm selling calls on it. So if you were to, well, I'll just say this is all for educational purposes only, guys. I want to watch BBI get to 10 and then go from there. Hopefully take off. Here's the $10 mark. This is the target we're going for. So let's make that green for go. And then this would be hitting lower lows. We'll put red down there. If you really get worried, like how far can it go? If it breaks this low, this is the low we put in here in April 2025, April 21st, then we can go even lower here. But this is going to be a target to break if we're gonna get that low. So it's a huge range. That's why, of course, this is not going to be for the weak at stomach, this play. This is something that, like I said, you want to like have for like a longer run. You don't want to just get in this with borrowed money or money you don't have or your kid's college tuition. You don't want to do that. Just, if you get a double out of this and then sell it, you can just, be using the stock market's money. So, at this point, you hit $10, but then if we go back even further, we see this thing was up to at one point $16. That's why we still could potentially hit a double. We can mark that top. So when we break it, that's something that we can put a mark on there. Let's do that. And then when we'll put as blue for the future, potentially we'll break that. Okay. So we're coming back up. We had a pullback there in 2022 where it kind of came up, died, came up, died. But even here, as you see, we never got to these lows. So it still has some life to it, you know. When some people show me a stock and it's like the chart just looks like this, I don't want to touch that one, okay? Because it looks like it's dying. This guy still has life, and like I said, because people know they got contracts. This is a real company. It's just can they get the company going? Can they generate profit? With the hype though, this stock could just who knows go where like some of these other stocks that haven't even really proven themselves. They're just in that AI tech space, um, you know, crypto space, AI space. A lot of these spaces that are, you know, potentially like with the dot-com bubble, like any dot-com stock that came out could blow up. Nobody knew. So if this pulls back, I wouldn't be as worried. This could pull back into this gap, fill this gap. So that's something we can look out for. If someone were to add on at that point, that would, if you missed the boat, potentially add on some there. Don't get too scared at that point. Like I said, that could be a spot that we could pull back to because typically gaps can get filled. They tend to want to get filled at one point or another. So this gap here, potentially we can come back into there and then go to $10 and pull back and boom. Or who knows, this thing could just take off to like $50. Who really knows? The stock market's crazy, especially these days with all the money being printed and flowing into the stock market. These companies are looking for places to put the capital, to put the money. Some of these stocks are just way overpriced, so they don't know if it's worth putting money into some of these stocks. Very volatile, like a Tesla, right? We love it, but it's super volatile. So, where do you put all that capital? Some of these institutions, right? So this could be a nice play for some of that capital to go, and especially if we keep moving up. So that's it, guys. I just wanted to do a quick recap. We're at today we closed at here 784. Sorry, we closed today at 775. So moving up since I talked about this stock on Friday right here. Boom, that's where we had that jump. We're in the fives. Now we already got up to $8.28, I think was the high for this candle. Yeah, 8.28. Wow. So we're almost getting close to that $10. I thought it'd be a while for the double, but from when I got in, but it's looking closer than I thought. Now, like I said, to mitigate, I can get into more details. I'm selling calls because calls are expensive. So at this point, I can take some of the risk off. If I sell when this 850 call is like 60 cents. So if you sell, 10 of those, if you have 1,000 shares, that's, it was $600. Now here that'd be at 760, you'd have the 40-cent gap plus the 60 cents here. So that's like a dollar automatically. You're putting $600 in your pocket if you had 1,000 shares just to take some risk off, and they would take your shares at 850 or at $8. But like I said, you have the 40-cent gain plus the 60 cents there of the cost of the option. You technically at when this goes to 850, you could sell it, like buy that back. You'll be up about a dollar, and you could resell another one at like a dollar up or so, right? And just keep just edging those calls out, or whatever your play is. But selling calls is one way to mitigate some of that. You might, if it gaps up immensely, you might miss out on some of that. That'd be the risk. But for me, with this kind of a play, some of you guys have higher risk. Just don't even worry about selling calls or buying puts to protect yourself on the downside. But you know, everyone's risk tolerance is different. At my age, I don't like to really risk a lot, but this stock looks like it has a ways to go. So just doing this quick review. We'll check in on a Monday and see how things are going. Leave a comment below if you guys, where you got in at, where you're at, and we can kind of ride this wave together. All right, talk to you guys later. Ben Samlak TV, tuning out. See you next time. Bye.